The original melanated people of this planet, who were once the perfect picture of health, are now leading in nearly every preventable disease globally. Our indigenous foods and cultural practices kept us 95% disease-free. Over time, as we adopted a foreign dietary lifestyle, our physical and mental health severely declined. I gathered over 15 years of experience as a registered nurse and African holistic practitioner to address this complex challenge in my new book, High Vibration Nutrition. This is a simple guide to healing through our culture and flourishing in wellness once again. Get the High Vibration Nutrition book by Bonaset Kind Seknet at Amazon. Also, get limited edition autographed copies of the book at kemeticwellness.com. Peace, Chem family. It's me, Kempress Bonaset, your African holistic health nurse for Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center, and I'm back with another video. It's been a while since I said that, but I am glad to be back. I want to welcome in all of the new subscribers that I've been seeing on my channel. I have not been posting regularly for probably about the past year because there's definitely some things that I experienced during this time that I was not sure if I wanted to speak about. But I will when the time is right. But today, we're going to be talking about emotional eating. And this was inspired by someone that I met recently. And I feel like it's going to be helpful for a lot of women, especially Black women. Emotional eating is something that I've definitely struggled with in my life. And I've talked about that in a previous video on my wellness journey video, where I talked about having an issue with disordered eating, which I had from age 11, probably up until about age 19 was when I really had conquered this issue. And if you all are seeing this and you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. Haven't posted in a while, so I don't know if things are, working right. If I remember how to do this right. So go ahead and leave me a comment in the live to let me know that you're watching. Just say hi, okay? Also, as you're coming in, please like the video, comment on the video, and share it with anyone. It does not matter who. You all have absolutely no idea how much it helps me to be able to come back and make more videos when I see your comments. It really, really, really helps. Okay. Aura! Oh, peace to you, sis. Peace. Adua! Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I miss you all. I love you, sisters. Thank you all so much for commenting and letting me know you're here on the video. Okay, I appreciate that. So, y'all see how y'all just made me light up? Oh my goodness. Okay, so back to the topic, right? Emotional eating. So this is something that I definitely struggled with since age 11. And it's something that a lot of Black women struggle with. And we know that we have about 80% of Black women currently who are either overweight or obese. And it's not only women who are overweight or obese who are having issues with emotional eating. Sometimes people will not look at you and know that you have an issue with emotional eating. I have never been obese. I've experienced fluctuations in my weight. Probably the most I've ever weighed was maybe about 10, 15 pounds more than what I weigh right now. So I've never been extremely overweight, but I have struggled with weight and emotional eating since as a child. And I've talked to a lot of Black women, a lot of women who come to me and have let me know some of the reasons that they've had issues with weight is childhood trauma, and specifically trauma that comes from being inappropriately touched as a child. And a lot of women internalize that and feel like um, there was something about them that made them attractive to the person who violated them. And because of that, they eat and eat and eat, one, to suppress those feelings, to make themselves feel better. And also, it's a way of cloaking themselves in a bigger body for protection and to take the attention off of men. I don't think it's a coincidence that over 80% of women in the Black community have talked about experiencing some form of sexual abuse, and that also 80% of us are dealing with overweight and obesity. I do not think that that's a coincidence at all. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about some of the factors that contribute to emotional dis-ease, because that's what emotional eating is. It is a manifestation of emotional dis-ease. On this channel, whenever I talk about any specific issue, I'm always going to give a holistic perspective of it. There's never just one aspect of disease, just the physical thing that you're seeing. It's never just the weight. There are emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical factors to every single issue that you're experiencing. Usually the physical aspect is the last aspect. Everything starts in the energetic form before it manifests physically. So what do I mean when I say that? We'll take the example of the young girl who may have experienced being violated early in her life. It is the energy of that experience that she is carrying with her that has created certain thought patterns and has bred certain emotions that she either has or has not found a way to cope with, right? It could be a healthy way or an unhealthy way that has manifested itself as physical weight, issues with weight, right? So for myself as a child, I started when I was probably around 11 years old. And I talked about this in that particular video, so I won't get too deep into it. You could search my channel for the video on disordered eating, okay? But weight was one of the ways that I used to control my emotions and how I felt about myself, right? So let's talk about what emotional dis-ease is, okay? Any excess amount of emotional outpour of any kind is emotional dis-ease, okay? It's an indication of emotional dis-ease. What do I mean? An excess amount of anger, sadness, joy, confusion, grief, or fear is an indication of emotional disease. A lot of us don't really understand the purpose of our emotions, and our emotions are meant to help us learn from our environment. That's the purpose of our emotions, to help us learn from our environment. Okay, when we dwell on the negative feelings that we have from emotions, we create an internal cesspool of negative emotions, emotional debris, emotional toxins that wreak havoc in every single area of our life. Okay, this manifestation is a result of the person consistently not internalizing the lessons of the emotion. Okay, that's how we manifest emotional disease. Okay. And emotional eating is just one aspect of that. So now let's talk about what it looks like, because many of us who see just the issue with the weight, you're going to see this manifest in other areas of your life as well. So let's talk about the manifestations of emotional dis-ease. One is unhealthy forms of attachment. And you can learn more about this just here on YouTube. There's a lot of psychologists also talking about attachment styles. Okay, attachment style. So some people have a secure attachment style. Others have attachment styles that are not so secure. A lot of times stemming from our childhood, where we had abandonment and neglect issues. Many of us grew up in one parent households. In our community, because we are coming from a community that has been through a large global tragedy, our family structure has been decimated. So to see two-parent households in the Black community is like a complete anomaly. It's an anomaly. Oh, peace to you, Kaiti. Anke Ma'at Sinet. Dua. Dua, my love. Yeah, so to see two-parent households, it's an anomaly. It's something we don't see very often. And we can develop unhealthy forms of attachment, trying to get the love that we didn't get with our parents, with other people. So we have codependency and all these other different forms of attachment to try to heal those wounds, right? Despair is a sign of emotional disease. Okay. Loneliness and alienation. When we're feeling these things on a regular basis, it is calling your attention to what the root cause of those emotions are. And a lot of us don't realize that. And so we try to cover up the emotions, suppress the emotions, and many times we use food to do it. That's one of the most common ways that we use to do it. But there are others, and I see this a lot as a nurse as well. I have people who are addicted to all type of drugs. Okay, that's only a manifestation of emotional disease. You never learn a proper way to cope with these emotions that you had, usually from early in childhood. Okay, and we're going to get to the solutions later on, but we got to discuss the problem first, right? So loneliness and alienation. Also, passive aggression is another manifestation of emotional dis-ease. Passive aggression happens when a person does not know how to express their discomfort or negative feelings towards a person or a situation. And so because they don't know how to be honest with other people about what's going on, they find other ways to get their point across. They don't know how to just come straight out. It's a form of emotional immaturity, something that people may have learned because they grew up in situations where they were not allowed to speak the truth about their emotions. I speak a lot about that on this channel, some of my other videos for those who have grown up in unhealthy or toxic or narcissistic families. Sometimes you develop passive aggressive ways of dealing with other people because you were never able to express your discontent with any situation. You understand? The avoidance of intimacy is also a manifestation of emotional dis-ease. Okay, avoiding intimacy, always wanting to be alone. I don't need no friends. I don't need nobody. You know, having a distrustful or hostile relationship to the world. It's not necessarily that you don't trust the world, it's that you don't trust yourself. Okay. Selfishness is also a manifestation of emotional disease. So consideration of yourself regardless of other people. That's a manifestation of emotional disease. Okay. Workaholism. And workaholism that's driven by a lack of self-worth is also a manifestation of emotional dis-ease. Okay. There are a lot of people who work because they're looking to get certain accomplishments or accolades from their work that they don't feel in their everyday life. They're working to get validation. It's a need for external validation, which is another manifestation. Need for external validation. You haven't validated yourself. Okay. Also, questioning the existence of love. And there are a lot of us who feel like this, specifically when it comes to romantic relationships. There are a lot of us who feel that it's not possible for you to have a romantic relationship. You feel like you are unlovable. You feel like you are unlovable. Okay. These are not truths. These are just things that you are feeling, and there are things that trigger those feelings that you haven't yet addressed. They're not true. Okay. Lack of boundaries in relationships is also a sign of emotional disease. When you don't know how to tell people no, when you let people walk all over you, when you let people mistreat you, when you keep going back for more and more and more and more. And usually people who have poor boundaries and allow other people to walk all over them, they also cross other people's boundaries, not knowing it. When you develop better boundaries for yourself, you learn that other people also have boundaries that you should not cross. But when you don't have good boundaries, you also step over other people's boundaries and make a mess in a lot of your relationships. These are manifestations of emotional dis-ease. Okay. Self-shaming, hatred, rage, guilt. I'm not even really expanding very much on those because they're kind of self-explanatory. Shame of yourself, not wanting people to see who you really are, hiding yourself. That's another reason that the weight manifests itself. Remember, I said there's always an energetic component. There's an energy of that. The weight is hiding you. You're literally trying to hide in your own body. That's because of a lot of shame. Okay. Apathy. Okay. Apathy, where you don't even feel very much. You have a very unenthusiastic view of life. Okay. And also perpetual victimhood. Perpetual victimhood. Now, a lot of times with people who are victimized very early in their life, you can kind of get stuck in that mindset of playing the victim. And it doesn't mean that you were not mistreated. It doesn't mean that certain things did not actually happen to you. But sometimes we get stuck in the victim mode where we place ourselves in situations that allow us to continuously be the victim. Also, there's a certain mindset. Right? A victim mindset is where something can happen to you and you really play up, wow, this person did this to me. I can't believe they treated me like this, and woe is me. And then there's a victor mindset, someone who is victorious. A person who is victorious in their life and who has a success mindset is always going to see how they contributed to certain situations. It doesn't mean blaming yourself. That's something totally different. It's not blaming yourself. It's taking responsibility over how
Your actions or your thought patterns led you into the situation and how you can not end up in that situation again. But when you're a victim and it's just, oh, well, people just did this to me and there was nothing I could have done about it. And, you will find yourself being a victim over and over and over and over and over again in your life. So perpetual victimhood is a sign of emotional dis-ease. Okay. So I want to talk about some of the emotional healing tools. And if you're wondering where you can get this information, it is in my book. The book that you saw the commercial for, High Vibration Nutrition, all of this is in here because I recognize that nutrition is not just about the food, the physical food. It's healing other things as well. And emotional healing can start with the way you eat. Okay. So I want to show you all this emotional guidance scale, and I hope I can figure out how to share my screen since I haven't done this in so long. Let's see. Select a window or screen. There we go. Okay. Can you all see this? Let me see if it's, there it goes. Okay. Oh, so let me read some of y'all comments while y'all are looking at this. Let me know if you need me to make it bigger. Orba Love says, it seems like most have emotional dis-ease, but display symptoms differently. Yes, it can be displayed differently. Tracy Reese says, okay, I hear you. Kaiti says, excellent book. And y'all are saying, yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. So y'all can see the screen. All right, so this is actually on page 81 in the High Vibration Nutrition book, and this is called the Emotional Guidance Scale. Okay, if you understand the world based on energy, frequency, and vibration, you understand the secrets of the universe. Okay, and that includes the secrets of emotional health. So here we have at the top of the scale, right? You have joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation. Those emotions are at the top of the emotional guidance scale. She says, make it a little bigger. Okay, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. And I don't know how. Let me see. Did that work? That a little bit bigger? I can't see both at the same time. I think that worked. Yeah. There we go. Okay. All right, So those emotions are at the top of the scale. Those are high frequency, high vibration emotions. Okay. The highest vibration of emotions are joy, love, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, and knowledge. Those are high vibration emotions. Then when you start to go lower and lower on the scale, okay, all the way at the bottom, you see fear, grief, depression, powerlessness, and victim mentality. That's all the way at the low end of the emotional guidance scale. Okay. And you can see all the different ones in between that. Okay. On the upward spiral, the higher vibration emotions also include passion, enthusiasm, optimism, positive expectation, and belief. So looking at the world positively, hopefulness, and contentment. These are the higher vibration emotions. All right. On the downward spiral, notice at the top of the downward spiral is boredom. And a lot of us eat out of boredom. You don't have anything else to do. Why? Because you're not in your passion. Okay. You're not working your passion. You're not working your gifts. You start to get bored. You don't know what to do with yourself, don't know what to do with your hands. You just pick up something to munch on, right? Then going further down on that spiral, you have pessimism. This is why I get very, I'm a person, I get very annoyed with people who are always complaining. To me, those are negative affirmations. Everything that you speak is an affirmation. And so when you're always seeing the downside of things, when you always speak about things in the negative, check that. Pay attention to that. You're taking yourself on a downward emotional spiral just by speaking those spells over your life. Yes, those are spells. Every word you speak is a spell and an affirmation. So frustration and impatience and irritation, that's on the downward spiral. Overwhelm, okay? Stress, overwhelm, disappointment, doubt, worry, okay, anxiety. These are all emotions that are spiraling downward on the emotional guidance scale. Blame, anger, revenge, hatred or rage, jealousy. Jealousy is almost at the lowest. That's one of the lowest vibrational emotions you can feed. You never want to feed these emotions. You never want to feed these emotions. When you start to feel these emotions, you want to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? A lot of us are so afraid to look at these negative emotions. We are afraid to look at them. We are afraid of ourselves. I'm going to get into that in a little bit when we talk more about some of the healing tools as well. Why we're afraid. So insecurity, unworthiness, and then all the way at the bottom, fear, grief, depression, powerlessness, and victim mentality. These are all the lowest vibration emotions. And I showed this to you all because I want you to recognize, how often are you experiencing the higher vibrational emotions? How often are you experiencing these low vibrational emotions? Which ones are you feeding more of? Because as humans, we experience all of these things. Nobody is always happy. Nobody is always in the highest frequency. Nobody is always sad. We have all of these emotions, but some of us experience higher vibration emotions on a regular basis because those are the ones we feed. Okay. And we're talking about emotional eating today, but it's not just about food. It's not just about food. Okay, so I'm going to stop this share if I can figure out how to do it. There we go. And I'm back. Okay. So now I want to talk about how to actually tackle some of these emotions in a healthy way, because the emotional eating is a unhealthy way of dealing with our emotions, and it manifests as overweight and obesity. Okay. So one of the most helpful ones, this is going to be number one on my list of emotional healing tools, is shadow work. Shadow work. That's number one on my list of emotional healing tools. And I can say that because it's the one that I used the earliest in my life, that helped me to not go down certain paths that I saw other people go down. Not that I never made mistakes, but I didn't make some of the mistakes that I saw other people make. So shadow work is the process of unveiling and becoming aware of the hidden aspects of oneself that may be viewed by the ego as shameful or unworthy. Okay. And this is what I was talking about when I said there are certain emotions that a lot of us have that we don't even want to face. We don't even want to face. We don't want to look at it. And shadow work can be done alone or it can be done under the guidance of a trained healer or therapist. A lot of what Reiki healers do, specifically those of us who are practitioners of Kemetic Reiki, such as myself, we do shadow work. We assist people in doing their shadow work. Okay, but I did this by myself as a child, and I'll tell you all how I did it. I did it through self-help books. Self-help books was my number one tool in shadow work. And I started my first self-help book probably when I was like 10 years old or so. And that was because I was very aware as a child and I could see certain things that were happening in my family and in my community. I saw the molestation. I saw the physical abuse. I saw the drugs growing up in the 80s in the Bronx during the crack era. I saw so many things in the community that were traumatic and that jarred me and that made me say, I don't want to continue this. And so one thing about me was I was never afraid to look at those aspects of myself that were not favorable, that a lot of people are afraid to do. And when we're afraid to look at those aspects of ourselves, we do things to try to cover it up and to hide it. And the funny thing is that the more you try to cover it up, the less self-aware you are, and the more other people can actually see those insecurities on you. Just let that sink in. I'll give you an example of this. So take a woman who has an insecurity about her skin complexion. And this is coming up because I know someone who has this issue, right? Take someone who has an issue with her skin complexion. She is a dark-skinned woman and does not like her complexion, right? And because she has not dealt with those emotions or why she feels that way, she never asked herself, why do I feel this way? Could have been because somebody early in her life mistreated her based on her skin color. It could have been because she was teased based on her skin color. It could just be because of the world that we live in and the programming that we get that makes us feel inferior because of our skin color, right? And so because she never dealt with any of those things to release those emotions and not attach to those emotions and take them on and now say there actually is something wrong with the skin that I'm in, which is totally out of alignment with what is real, right? But because she never dealt with those emotions and sat in it, she continued to become insecure. And from that insecurity, started to do things to change her skin color, such as bleaching, right? So some of us have seen a lot of these people who have light faces and then the dark knuckles and stuff, skin look ashy, and you don't look light skin, you look gray and ashy. You know, some of y'all have seen this on people. That's coming from an insecurity. Now, other people are looking at you and they can tell you are clearly insecure about yourself, that you would damage yourself to that level. There's something not right emotionally within you, that you would damage your skin to that level. And you're not even aware of it. If somebody was to tell you that, you probably would be angry. Why? That's from not doing enough shadow work, not actually becoming self-aware enough to see what's going on with your emotions. You've done things to cover it up. And now you think you've covered it up. You think you've healed the problem, but you've actually made it more obvious to other people who are looking at you. Okay. There are 4 aspects to the self, right? There are 4 aspects of the self. If you look at the human being as a whole, a circle, right? So you have one aspect of the self. If you break that up into 4 quadrants, right? One aspect of the self that is hidden to you, but it's obvious to other people. These are certain characteristics that we have that we're not aware of, we don't see, but it's obvious to other people. Then you have aspects of the self that you know about. This is another quadrant. You know about these things, you know these qualities about yourself, but it's hidden to other people. Other people can't see this in you. Okay, that's the secret self. Then you have qualities about yourself that you can see and that other people can also see, right? So you know it and other people know this about you. It's see-through. And then you have another aspect of the self, which is a hidden self that other people cannot see and that also you cannot see. So there's 4 aspects of the self. Okay. So shadow work, right? Shadow work, looking at those aspects of yourself that you are afraid to look at, it encourages compassion for yourself. It encourages freedom from judgment, and it encourages unconditional self-love. Unconditional self-love. When I would get these self-help books, I would answer these questions honestly because, I mean, it's my work. I can put it down on paper, journal the answers. If I want to, I can rip it up, or I can keep it in a journal and go back and look and learn more about myself. You understand? I wasn't afraid to be honest with myself about those things. Whatever it was, whatever mistakes I had I wasn't afraid to look at them. All right. This allowed me to have love for myself, unconditional self-love. Okay. When you're working with the shadow self, you may have moments of awakening that lead to greater fulfillment, authenticity, and emotional freedom. You become free from a lot of those emotions. You are able to be your authentic self. You don't have to hide as much. You don't have to hide. You don't have to be afraid to be who you genuinely are when you face yourself. A lot of people are running away from themselves. Some of these demons that you see people fighting where they're coming up against you, they're not even fighting you. They fighting their own demons themselves that they are afraid to look at. And that's what shadow work helps with. It's a very powerful emotional healing tool. And you can do that by picking up a self-help book in the area of something that you want to work on, whether it's depression or anxiety. Pick up a good self-help book, and whatever exercises it has in it, do the exercises, answer the questions honestly, and don't just read it. Don't think because you read it, you did work. Some of y'all think that just because you're watching a video or you're reading a book, you did work. That is not the real work. You have to actually go into it, sit down, journal these things, and reflect on it. That's the real work. And these things really work. Okay. So this kind of goes into self-awareness, practicing self-awareness. This is another healing tool. Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly through the process of introspection and self-reflection. And I'm intentionally going through emotional healing tools that you don't really need to spend a whole lot of money to do, because a lot of us feel like we can't afford therapy, or maybe we don't trust therapists. But these are things that can help you work through emotions without having to go to a therapist. And even doing some of these things may make you more comfortable in searching for a good therapist for yourself. Okay. It's through the process of self-awareness that we can clearly perceive our own values, passions, aspirations, and develop a greater degree of emotional control. Emotional control. Okay. Another healing tool is visiting natural environments. So at the start of this video, I told you all that over the past year, I haven't been uploading a whole lot because I had my own journey that I was going through, that I needed to take some time for myself. And one of the things I did during that time was I spent a whole lot of time in nature, a whole lot of time in nature. It's one of the safest places that I feel, is being somewhere in a natural environment, whether that was going hiking on different trails. I've been on so many different trails in my community. um, taking a walk in a very large park, going and sitting by water, being in water, okay, going to the beach, spending time in nature, specifically by yourself. I like doing it by myself, but you can also do it with a group. Find a group that's near you, that's a hiking group, a nature group, especially one that is led by and surrounded by melanated people. I do not recommend us going into no woods with them folk. I'm sorry. I don't recommend us going into the woods with Wazungu. Some of y'all don't come back. I'll just say that. Okay. So find a group of Black people who like to hike and be out in nature and go hike with them if you don't like doing it by yourself. But I do like doing it by myself. A lot of the time I can release anxiety. I can think a lot clearer, breathe clearer, and I just feel a million times better. It's a great way of releasing emotions. Okay. Journaling is another way. Journaling is another technique. And mirror work also. Mirror work is another emotional healing technique. It is a therapeutic form of confidence building. Okay. So you go ahead and you meet your own reflection in the mirror. And you have a conversation with yourself, just like you're speaking to a good friend or somebody that you know who's more comfortable talking to you. Who are you more comfortable talking to than to yourself, right? A lot of people think that's crazy if you talk to yourself. No, it's not. It's not. Only if you hear voices answering you back. That's not your own voice. That's when you have a problem. But talking to yourself and having conversations with yourself is a form of emotional healing. This is one form that I actually did naturally as a child, and I still do it all the time. I have whole conversations, laughing, crying, talking, whatever I got to say. I look myself in the mirror and I say it to myself. One of the best things you can say in the mirror is affirmations. Affirmations. That specific technique helped me to get through a very, very difficult time in my life, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, when I had left a relationship that ended in abuse and violence. And that left a huge hole within me, and I needed to pour back into myself. And I didn't necessarily feel comfortable with or trust anybody to pour my emotions out to. I didn't have anyone to really pour them out to. And so I needed to tell myself good things again after hearing negative things for such a long time. And so I had written out these flashcards, put them all over my mirror, and I would say these affirmations to myself very often throughout the day. I would carry them with me, and specifically when I looked in the mirror, I would repeat these things to myself. This was some tool that was given to me by Queen Esther. She's the Dean of Sacred Woman, and that really helped me during that time. I'll go through two more important ones. One is emotional freedom technique. And I talked about this before in a previous video. The short name of it is EFT. That's the abbreviation. EFT. It stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And it is a healing tool. They actually have some videos here on YouTube where people are doing the tapping exercises, but it's always more helpful with the trained EFT therapist. So I have a personal therapist who I go to. You can find her. Her name is Niyamo. You can find her at the Heal Mobile, thehealmobile.com, or if you Google the Heal Mobile, there's one really great EFT therapist who you can look at. Now, it's a holistic treatment for physical pain and for emotional distress. EFT is a form of tapping, and it works along the same meridians as Reiki and as acupuncture and acupressure. And essentially what you're doing is you are doing certain tapping motions. So there's like a tapping that you do here at the temples, underneath the eye, here, here, the collarbone, you go underneath the arm, the top of the head. These are some of the points that they use, the wrist as well. And as you're doing the tapping motions, you're actually saying, you're speaking out the feelings that you have. So before you start the session, usually you'll talk about what your particular issue is, whatever's going on with you emotionally. You're going to talk about it with the EFT therapist, and he or she will guide you through expressing those emotions. So you're going to say whatever it is, it's going to be a statement, and you're tapping here, and you're saying the statement as you're tapping. And that tapping is actually helping to release that energy that's stuck emotional energy. May sound odd to some people, but it is extremely helpful. It's extremely helpful, especially when you do it with somebody in person who is a holistic person, can use music, aromatherapy, and all of these other holistic aspects in alignment with the EFT tapping therapy. So that is one form of emotional healing, an emotional healing tool that you can use if you aren't aware of it. It's very, very helpful. I have done it many times. Okay. And the last one I'm going to talk about today is a Reiki healing circle. Reiki healing circle. So for those of you who are unaware, if you're not following me on Instagram, I just announced that last month I was in Philly and I got my certification for master teacher in the Raseki Kemetic Reiki tradition. So I am officially a master teacher in the Kemetic Reiki healing form. So I am now qualified and certified to also teach these classes, host retreats, and also to certify others in this healing tool. Okay, so look out for those courses. When they come up, I'll definitely announce them here and on my Instagram as well. So a Reiki healing circle is usually a small group of healers who gather together to practice the Reiki healing modalities. It helps to promote energetic, emotional, and physical well-being. And I'm going to talk more about some of the healing modalities that go along with Kemetic Reiki, such as the crystal healing, the breath work, also the food, all of these different things. So when you get into a Reiki circle, it's a group session where the healers are able to concentrate their energies and their efforts in a group healing. Everybody is able to experience these things. And it's very, very powerful. It's very powerful. If you want to experience these things and you want to learn more about those things, go ahead and visit me at kemeticwellness.com, because I'm going to be having some things rolling out in the next couple of months. I'll just say that. I don't want to announce anything prematurely. Okay. So that is where I'm going to end today on the emotional healing tools to help you with emotional eating. Okay, very, very important to address the emotional aspect of nutrition. Okay, the emotional aspect, because it's not just about the food. A lot of us go on diets and wonder why the diets don't work or why you keep going in cycles. Okay, fad diet after fad diet after fad diet. Part of it is because nobody's ever teaching you about nutrition, but the other part is you haven't addressed the emotions that's causing you to overeat in the first place. Okay. If you want more information on this and more information on those tools, you can find them in the High Vibration Nutrition book. You could get it at kemeticwellness.com or amazon.com. And there's also e-copies on both sides, ebooks. Okay, if you found this video helpful, please share it with anyone. It does not matter who. Hit the like button, leave me a comment in the comment section, or visit me at kemeticwellness.com if you want to work with me one-on-one or in a group. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.